Let me tell you something that most people don't realize about traffic stops. The moment those lights flash behind you, the officer has already made about 70% of their decision about whether you're getting a ticket. What happens in the next few minutes will determine the other 30%. And that 30%, that's entirely in your control. I've spent years as a defense attorney reviewing thousands of traffic cases, sitting in courtrooms, and talking with officers about what influences their decisions. I've seen identical violations result in warnings for some drivers and tickets for others. The difference often comes down to how the driver handles those critical few minutes. What I'm about to share isn't about getting away with dangerous driving. It's about understanding the psychology of traffic stops so you can give yourself the best chance of driving away with just a warning. The absolute most important thing happens before the officer even gets out of their car. Pull over safely and quickly. Use your turn signal. Slow down gradually. Pull as far right as possible. If you're on a highway and there's an exit nearby, take it. If you're in a residential area and see a parking lot, pull into it. The officer is watching and forming opinions about you during this entire time. An officer once told me that a driver who immediately pulls over, uses their signal, and finds a safe spot tells them this person respects law enforcement and public safety. A driver who continues for blocks, doesn't signal, or pulls over in a dangerous location suggests the opposite. I've seen cases where the pulling over behavior alone influenced whether someone got a warning or a citation. Once stopped, turn off your engine completely. This signals that you're not planning to flee and that you're willing to cooperate. Turn on your interior light if it's nighttime. This is crucial. Officers approach cars not knowing what awaits them, and a lit interior removes one layer of uncertainty. Put your hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2 where they can clearly see them. Roll down your window all the way, not just a crack. Some people think cracking the window protects their rights, but it actually increases officer suspicion and creates tension. Officers are trained to be hypervigilant about their safety, and traffic stops are one of the most dangerous things they do. Every year, officers are injured or killed during routine traffic stops. They approach your vehicle knowing that statistically, this is when they're most vulnerable. Everything you do to make them feel safe increases your chances of getting a warning. This isn't about being subservient. It's about being smart and recognizing the human element of these encounters. Don't rummage around for documents before the officer gets to your window. This is a massive mistake I see repeatedly. From the officer's perspective, you're digging around in areas where people keep weapons. Keep your hands visible until they ask for documents, then tell them what you're doing before you do it. Say, "My license is in my wallet in my back pocket," or "My registration is in my glove box, I'm reaching for it now." This simple communication makes all the difference between a routine stop and a tense encounter. If you have a concealed carry permit and are carrying, the protocol varies by state, but generally you should disclose this immediately and follow the officer's instructions precisely. Keep your hands visible and don't reach for anything unless specifically instructed. Now what you say is where most people blow it. When asked if you know why they pulled you over, don't admit to speeding, but don't play completely ignorant either. The best response is respectful and neutral. "I'm not entirely sure, officer," or "I may have been going a bit fast. Was there a problem?" You're not admitting to a specific speed or denying reality. You're cooperative without incriminating yourself. Here's why this matters legally. Anything you say during a traffic stop can be used against you in court. I've defended dozens of cases where the prosecutor's entire evidence was the officer's testimony that the driver admitted to speeding. No radar, no pacing, just the defendant stated they were going 75 in a 60. Your words become evidence. Be mindful of every statement you make. Your attitude is absolutely critical, and I mean this in the strongest possible terms. This is not the time to talk about your rights, question the legality of the stop, or lecture the officer about proper police procedure. Be respectful and polite. Officers are human beings, and like anyone else, they respond better to respect. I've reviewed cases where the only difference between a warning and a ticket was the driver's attitude. One driver was apologetic and respectful. Warning. Another driver with the same violation was argumentative and dismissive. Ticket plus additional citations for issues the officer might have otherwise overlooked. Think about your own life. When someone treats you with respect, you're more inclined to give them a break. When someone is rude or dismissive, you're less generous. Officers are no different. They have discretion, and human nature influences how they use it. If asked how fast you are going, don't give them a number over the limit. Saying, "I think I was going about 70 in a 65 zone," is an admission they don't even need radar for. Instead, "I'm not really sure, I was watching the road," is honest and doesn't provide ammunition. You can also say, "I was keeping up with traffic," which puts your speed in context without admitting to a violation. Don't make up emergencies, don't cry fake tears, don't flirt. Officers have heard every excuse imaginable. "My wife is in labor." They'll call an ambulance. "I have to use the bathroom." "You should have thought of that earlier." "I didn't see the sign." That's not a defense to the violation. These tactics are transparent and often backfire. What can help is mentioning a clean driving record naturally if the conversation allows for it. "It's been over 10 years since my last ticket. I really try to drive carefully," provides context that you're not a habitual speeder. This isn't an excuse. It's information that might factor into the officer's discretion. You're essentially saying, "I'm not the problem driver you need to spend time on." Sometimes the best thing is simply taking responsibility without admitting specific facts. "You're right, I should have been paying closer attention to my speed. I apologize." This sincere accountability can be disarming. You're giving the officer a chance to be the good guy who shows mercy. Many officers have told me they appreciate when someone owns their mistake without excuses or deflection. If there's a legitimate reason you were distracted, you just received bad news, you're dealing with a family emergency, you're lost in an unfamiliar area, you can mention it without using it as an excuse. "I apologize, officer. I just got some difficult news and my mind was elsewhere." That's not an excuse, but it's where my head was. This humanizes you without demanding special treatment. Here's what not to do, because these behaviors guarantee a citation. Don't volunteer information beyond what's asked. Don't ramble or over-explain. Don't try to befriend the officer with small talk about their job or their day. They're working, and this isn't a social call. Don't say, "Why aren't you catching real criminals?" or "Don't you have anything better to do?" or "This is harassment," or "I pay your salary." These comments guarantee a ticket and possibly additional scrutiny of your vehicle and documents. Don't argue about the radar calibration, the speed limit posting, or whether you actually committed the violation. The roadside isn't a courtroom. Contest it later with a judge if you want. Arguing accomplishes nothing except confirming to the officer that they made the right choice pulling you over. In fact, arguing might prompt them to document everything more thoroughly, making your eventual court challenge harder. Don't record the officer in an obvious, confrontational way. You usually have the right to record in most jurisdictions, but making a show of it while announcing their rights violations or live streaming with commentary guarantees maximum penalty. If you want to record for your protection, do so discreetly without announcing it or making it a point of confrontation. Don't mention lawyers, lawsuits, or consequences. "My lawyer will hear about this," or "I know the chief of police," or "You're going to regret this," are fighting words that eliminate any chance of discretion in your favor. The type of violation matters. Minor speeding or equipment issues may earn a warning if you're polite, while excessive speeding or red light violations usually lead to a ticket. If warned, thank the officer. If ticketed, stay calm and don't argue. Your behavior can affect documentation and sometimes court outcomes, though some citations are unavoidable. Be respectful, cooperative, and take responsibility without excuses. Officers often prefer letting drivers go when possible. Best advice: don't speed. Use cruise control, watch for zone changes, leave early, and follow limits. If pulled over, stop safely, keep hands visible, and stay polite. Respectful behavior can be the difference between a ticket and a warning.